Last time, we explored the revered shamans, seers, and wise women of antiquity, figures deeply connected to nature and their communities. But how did this ancient devotion turn to damnation? How did the venerated priestess become the feared witch? Tonight, we journey into the shadows of medieval Europe, a time when the rising power of the Christian Church reshaped spiritual authority and began to cast a long, dark shadow over ancient beliefs, laying the groundwork for centuries of terror. As the Roman Empire waned, a new, powerful force rose to fill the void: Christianity. Through a combination of missionary zeal, political alliances, and strategic conversions, the Christian Church consolidated its power across the European continent. Its monotheistic doctrine, with a singular God and a clear hierarchy, stood in stark contrast to the polytheistic and animistic practices that had long flourished in many regions. Earlier traditions, rich in nature worship, ancestral spirits, and a pantheon of gods and goddesses, were now labeled pagan, a term initially meaning country dweller, but which quickly took on connotations of heresy and idolatry. The Church systematically worked to absorb, modify, or outright suppress these rival beliefs. Ancient sacred groves were replaced by churches, pagan festivals were rebranded as Christian holidays, and local deities were demonized or reinterpreted as saints. And the crushing of any spiritual competition. With the Church's dominance, anything outside Orthodox Christian teaching became an affront, a heresy punishable by severe means. The fight against heresy became a defining feature of the medieval era, and the Inquisition, established in the 13th century, became its primary weapon. Now, here's a crucial myth versus reality. Myth: witches were always viewed as devil-worshipping pact makers. Reality: for much of the early medieval period, folk magic and superstition, while perhaps frowned upon, were not universally equated with malevolent devil worship. The idea of a formal, organized pact with Satan was a theological development, not a pre-existing folk belief. It was within this climate of rooting out heresy that the concept of witchcraft began to evolve into something far more sinister. Traditional healers, those who offered remedies or performed local blessings, and even women with independent means, found themselves under increasing scrutiny. Their practices, once tolerated or even respected, were slowly reframed as being in league with demonic forces, a direct challenge to God's authority. This intellectual and theological connection between heresy and demonic magic was being forged, laying crucial groundwork. The shift from folk magic to demonic pact wasn't spontaneous, it was meticulously constructed by theologians and legal scholars. Influential texts and figures began to formalize a terrifying new theology of demonology. No longer were demons just tempters, they were believed to actively recruit human agents through formal pacts, granting them malevolent powers in exchange for their souls. This intellectual groundwork culminated in devastating works such as the infamous Malleus Maleficarum or The Witch's Hammer, published in 1487 by two German inquisitors. This chilling manual codified the belief in witchcraft, provided detailed instructions for identifying and prosecuting witches, and asserted that disbelief in witchcraft was itself heresy. It painted a vivid, horrifying picture of a vast, satanic conspiracy, driven largely by women, aiming to undermine Christian society. This book wasn't just theory, it was a blueprint for persecution, solidifying the idea of the witch as a demonic enemy of God and humanity. The theological pronouncements and influential texts had a profound and terrifying social impact. The fear of a satanic pact permeated everyday life, turning neighbor against neighbor. A bad harvest, a sudden illness, a child's unexplained death, all could now be attributed to the malevolent influence of a witch, an agent of the devil. This fear disproportionately targeted the vulnerable and the marginalized. Elderly women, particularly those living alone, individuals with traditional healing knowledge, or anyone considered different often became convenient scapegoats. Their established roles in communities, which once connected them to ancient spiritual practices, were now twisted into evidence of their dark allegiances. The stage was set for suspicion, accusation, and unspeakable suffering, based on an intellectual framework that demonized traditional spiritual authority. The medieval era was a crucible, forging the image of the witch from the ashes of earlier spiritual traditions. The Christianization of Europe, the relentless pursuit of heresy, and the chilling formalization of demonology transformed the revered pagan priestess into a figure of pure evil, an enemy of God and man. The seeds of terror were sown, watered by fear and suspicion, but the full, devastating harvest of fear, accusations, and mass persecution was yet to come. Join us next time on Witches, as we explore the Great European Witch Hunts, a period when a continent was set aflame, and tens of thousands perished under the shadow of the witch's hammer. If you're intrigued by the dark turn in this history, remember to like this video, share it with fellow history enthusiasts, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next chapter in this fascinating series.